But I can tell this from my reporting that there was no investigation, although the FBI said that they spent more man-hours in the history of the Bureau and used more agents than in the history of the Bureau. They weren't investigated. And the reason I know is that I was at room 214 in the Lorraine Motel, which was looking right at the crime scene, and nobody ever came to my door and said, "Where were you standing? What did you see?" And when police are investigating, that's what they do. In that sense, they're like reporters. They ask everybody and you put it together. It wasn't until 30 years later, almost some 30 years later, Clinton was the president, Janet Reno was the attorney general, and under pressure from the King family, Clinton ordered Reno to reopen certain aspects of the King assassination. And that's the first time anybody in officialdom ever came to me and said, "What did you see?" In the meantime, I had been writing. But one of the things I found out is that you think that if you're there, you'll see and you'll know. And you don't really. There's so much you're there, you see, you don't know, because you're just seeing that little sliver that comes past you. However, that is very valuable, because when they came with the official story of the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., or if you read my story from that night in the New York Times, all of the official story, everything they said, James Earl Ray fired from a flop house across in front of from a flop house window across from the Lorraine Motel. Well, nobody could see any of that. There's no corroboration of that. But there was another story that night of what people did see. And I know that because I saw it too. And in my story, I quoted a fellow whose name was Solomon Jones, who I had met in Memphis because he was chauffeuring Dr. King, an undertaker had given him a Cadillac, and had hired him to be Dr. King's chauffeur, because in that region, Dr. King was, he was an awesome figure in that time. And Solomon Jones, as it happened, was in that car, and had brought the car right up parallel to the balcony when Dr. King was coming out of that night. And when he was shot on the balcony, he had that car and his head flipped across, and he saw this figure in the bushes. And I quoted him in my story as saying he saw this fellow shoot King from the bushes. But you talk to a lot of people, but one of the things as a reporter, what decides what you use and what you don't use, oftentimes you use what you can understand. And I knew what he was talking about because I was in my doorway and I saw that same figure. And the official story says that figure does not exist. But it's a part of the misinformation or disinformation that we got about the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. We still haven't gotten the truth. What I know is there was no investigation, and I know there was a massive cover-up. I witnessed that too, because that thicket that gave cover to that gunman, that figure in the bushes across from the motel, somebody allowed somebody to come in the night and cut that thicket to within an inch of the ground. So if you said it was a man in the bushes, people say, "What bushes? What's he talking about? No bushes over there." They altered the crime scene so that the only plausible story for the killing of King was that James Earl Ray fired from the bathroom window. It's a part of that great cover-up. And the reason why I don't want to let it go, the reason why I'm still dealing with this, and it's a part of the work that I have to do, is because that's not Tom, Dick, and Harry altering the crime scene. That's not Tom, Dick, and Harry not investigating. That's the government. And it can't be that the government is involved in the killing of Martin Luther King Jr.